There has to be some irony in that the series finale includes the Borg and possibly their destruction, but adds very little to anything having to do with the lore. Before I get into the last episode we see the Borg, as of the upload of this video at least, I'm going to front load my complaints by pointing out that all of the inconsistencies we see in the episode before this one, and indeed in most of Voyager, continues with this episode as well. The Borg Queen acts very individualistic, in fact even taunting Seven by saying that Seven was her favorite, that she was there to see an old friend. She even says Voyager was left alone because of 7 of 9, which, for those who continually state the Queen is an avatar of the collective, you're telling me the entire collective has a favorite Borg? The entire collective. Wouldn't that negate the Borg being a collective to have favorite individuals? Anyway, this consistent inconsistency is all throughout the episode, and I don't intend to be a broken record, so I'm just pointing it out here. When analyzing the Borg at this stage, it's hard to tell what abilities they now do and do not have. As an example, in this episode, specifically Voyager's End Game Part 1 and 2, Admiral Janeway travels back in time in order to save roughly 200 or less people, wiping out entire generations in the process. When she arrives, the entire interaction and the communications between Admiral Janeway and Voyager are observed by the Borg Queen. We can't be exactly sure how, but it's likely one of two reasons. First, it could be the case that Borg sensors are so powerful they are able to observe the event involving Voyager from so far away. Or, the Borg enhancements completed on Voyager allow the collective to tap into certain subsystems without the crew of Voyager being aware. This seems the most likely and would explain both this episode and Voyager's episode Unimatrix Zero. It also explains how the Borg Queen could override the regeneration node and nearly kill Seven. Anyway, regardless of how the Queen does it, the Borg Queen does contact Seven through her alcove after seeing Admiral Janeway arrive and advises Seven that the collective will assimilate Voyager if they attempt to re-enter the nebula that the Admiral wants them to. While initially this is a good deterrent, the psychopath pretending to be an Admiral convinces Captain Janeway and her crew to enter into the nebula. However, luckily for Voyager, the Admiral's new armor makes it so the Borg weapons and assimilation attempts are ineffective. This presents a problem for the Borg because in the past, as we know, they aren't able to identify an issue, determine the problem, research that problem, and find a solution. So with this new obstacle regarding Voyager, the Borg start identifying the issue, determining the problem, and researching ways to find a solution. As Borg cubes begin scanning the Intrepid-class vessel to figure this out, Voyager attacks them with transphasic torpedoes, utterly annihilating the vessels. Interestingly, when the Borg are unable to assimilate and destroy Voyager, and Voyager shows to be a substantial threat, the Queen orders that the Borg back off. This is actually very consistent with Borg tactics. If they can't beat something, they pull back. It's odd and feels wrong on screen given that the Borg always have been a powerhouse, but they would not instantly fight something they couldn't understand or couldn't beat. Now for those who want to point out the war with 8472, the Borg really only got serious, really only started going balls to the wall when they didn't have a choice. However, all of this is really just prep. We'll get into the actual lore piece between Admiral Janeway and the Borg Queen after this. Hey guys, have you ever wanted to have your charging accessories light up to the intro of Little Witch Academia? Cause I know I haven't. But if you have, you're in luck. This video is sponsored by lightcords.com. Lightcords.com brings something techie to spice up your home, office, and car. They have a great selection of light-up smartphone accessories available in multiple styles, colors, and phone models. They offer moving lights, blinking lights, and those sexy, beautiful sound-sensitive lights. And best of all, they are so sure in the quality of their wares, they offer a 90-day guarantee, which is better than anything you'll find on Amazon or eBay. All orders are shipped within 1 business day, so head on over and be sure to use the checkout code LORE to get 20% off your first purchase. Now let's just get back into it. As stated, most of the lore really comes between the interactions of the Queen and Admiral Janeway. Admiral Janeway is utilizing technology from the future to speak inside the mind of the Queen, being able to have a discussion without physically being there. Ultimately, Admiral Janeway has asked the Queen to get Voyager home by force. Admiral Janeway stating that her counterpart, Captain Janeway, is refusing to get her people home because Captain Janeway wants to destroy the Borg. It's a long story, you really need to watch the episode to understand. Ultimately, the Queen does offer to get Voyager home, by force if necessary, if the Admiral gives up her ship and all its technology. Oh yeah, future Janeway came back with advanced technology to the nines, and that is something, of course, the Borg would want. Admiral Janeway agrees that she will ultimately give all of the tech after Voyager is forced to return to the Alpha Quadrant. However, the Queen reveals that they already found the ship of the good Admiral, so that won't be necessary. The Borg Collective, of course, captures the ship and the Admiral, who is then assimilated. This is where a lot of the controversy about if the Borg still exist today or were completely annihilated come from. The Queen was infected with a virus by assimilating Janeway that begins to utterly obliterate most of the Borg that we see. The question is, did this happen to the entire collective? And the truth is, we don't know. There is evidence to show that there was catastrophic damage done to the Borg. However, to what extent remains a mystery, as evidence supports both their being destroyed and their survival. The evidence of them being destroyed is fairly obvious. You see the Queen literally fall apart, the destruction of at least one transwarp gate, and the annihilation of Unimatrix Zero. However, Admiral Janeway states that she has done just enough to bring chaos to order. She specifically says, just enough. We also see at least one Borg ship, the Sphere, appear to still be in operation. It could be argued that there is a delay for the pathogen to reach all of the collective, and that's fair enough, but then that would give the Borg the ability to counter and shut off some of the collective to protect itself. And if we're being honest, that isn't consistent with what's said in previous episodes with the central plexus, which was stated to instantly spread something to all of the Borg collective. If I had to guess, given what I know of Trek and the Trek universe and the phrasing that was utilized, this was probably a crippling blow to the Borg, but not fatal. It is likely that a substantial part of the Borg network is destroyed, but they aren't gone completely. As of the upload of this video at least, the Picard series could change all of that. Ironically, this specific episode doesn't add a ton of lore, as you're noticing. I don't really have a lot to work with here. It's telling to me that the series ending episodes don't help at all. That said, I do still have a few more videos that'll be delving deep into the Borg, so stay tuned as we discuss the Queen specifically.